What up, YouTube? Knowledge of self-determination. Back with you guys with some more Black history every day. And we're going, once again, back to February 24th, but a little bit further in the future than the last individual we just did a video on, Daniel Payne. We're doing this one on the 1966 ousting of Kwame Nkrumah of military leaders of his country in Ghana, which he was once the president of, while he was in Peking on a peace mission to stop the Vietnam War. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into Kwame Nkrumah's life. This man has done a lot in his life, and there's no way I'm gonna fit everything into this video with the particular time constraints that I have. So I'll do my best to give you guys as much information on him as possible without making the video too long. So, and also I'll put the links to other sites and resources that you guys can look up, so you can do more research on Kwame Nkrumah himself on your own time. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. Kwame Nkrumah led Ghana to independence from Britain in 1957 and served as its first prime minister and president. Nkrumah gained power as leader of the colonial Gold Coast and held it until he was deposed in 1966. An influential 20th century advocate of Pan-Africanism, he was a founding member of the Organization of African Unity and was a winner of the London Peace Prize in 1962. Nkrumah's mother sent him to elementary school run by a Catholic mission at Half Asini, where he proved an adept student. He progressed through the 10-year elementary program in 8 years. By about 1925, he was a student teacher in the school and had been baptized into the faith. While at the school, he was noticed by the Reverend Alec Garden Fraser, principal of the Government Training College, soon to become Achimota School, in the Gold Coast capital, Accra. I hope I'm saying that right, ACCRA. Fraser arranged for Nkrumah to train as a teacher at his school. Here, Columbia-educated Deputy Headmaster Kawigere Agre exposed him to the ideas of Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois. Agre, Fraser, and others at Achimota taught that there should be close cooperation between the races in governing the Gold Coast, but Nkrumah, echoing Garvey, soon came to believe that only when the black race governed itself could there be harmony between the races. And I totally agree with him. What it sounds like is that in Africa, apparently there were some Sambos there as well. Because how could you possibly believe that the only way for there to be peace and independence is to let another race of people rule and dominate you and control your resources and your land? How do you figure that? Fortunately, Kwame Nkrumah was nobody's fool, rather I should say. And because he had his own progressive ideas, it led him down the path that he was soon to follow. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. In order for there to be peace, Africa has to be independent. Africans have to be independent. Black people have to be independent in order for there to be peace. Because no one wants to be ruled and subjugated by another. It's not the natural way of life on this planet. That's why people continue to fight back. I'll continue. In the period of African colonial independence, the beacon country from Africa was Ghana, first to achieve independence in 1957. The new nation's most influential figure was its prime minister, later president, Kwame Nkrumah. When Nkrumah was born in 1910, Ghana was still the Gold Coast, a British colony known for its plantations and for being the world's largest producer of coca. Its frontiers were the result of bargains among the colonial powers, Britain, France, and Germany. that did not correspond to the historical boundaries of the kingdoms that preceded colonization, particularly the once mighty Ashanti Empire. Now, keep in mind that Europeans have been waging war on resources ever since they they realized the importance of resources, natural resources. You guys have to understand that Europeans have been colonizing other nations, other continents, other countries solely for the resources. That's it. Waging wars for resources. Enslaving people for resources. I'll continue. In the United States, Nkrumah saw alternatives to the British tradition of government. He also became suffused with an acute consciousness of the politics of race relations. Unlike many new African leaders who sought to emulate their European instructors, Nkrumah plunged into America's black communities. Founded before the Civil War, Lincoln University was America's oldest black college, and its special atmosphere inspired and comforted Nkrumah. Nkrumah completed a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Economics and Sociology in 1939. Lincoln then appointed him an assistant lecturer in philosophy, and he began to receive invitations to be a guest speaker in Presbyterian churches in Philadelphia and New York. In 1939, Nkrumah enrolled at Lincoln Seminary and at the Ivy League University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He gained a Bachelor of Theology degree from Lincoln in 1942, the top student in the course. He earned from Penn the following year a Master of Arts degree in philosophy and a Master of Science in Education. While at Penn, Nkrumah worked with the linguist William Everett Welmers, providing the spoken material that formed the basis of the first descriptive grammar of his native Fonte dialect of the Akan language. So as we can see, Kwame Nkrumah was a very intelligent man, and that's not even the end of the degrees. He would later go on to receive PhDs or a PhD. The man was highly intelligent. According to historian John Henry Clark in his article on Nkrumah's American sojourn, quote, the influence of the 10 years that he spent in the United States will have a lingering effect on the rest of his life, end quote. And just to backtrack, Dr. John Henry Clark, John spelled traditional, John, Henrik, Clarke. Please look up Dr. John Henry Clark if you're not already aware of his existence, his books, his lectures, which are all over YouTube. You can find, well, maybe not all of his lectures, but there are a lot of lectures on John Henry Clark. Please look this man up. He is a brilliant man, a walking library of history. There is no equal to the knowledge that this man once possessed. Please immerse yourselves in the teachings of John Henry Clark. Seriously, if you're black, if you're anybody who wants to learn anything about history, please study this man's work. It's a genius. Now moving along. Nkrumah spent his summers in Harlem, a center of black life and thought. He found housing and employment in New York City with difficulty and involved himself in the community. He spent many evenings listening to and arguing with street orators, and according to Clark, these evenings were a vital part of Kwame Nkrumah's American education. He was going to a university, the University of the Harlem Streets. This was no ordinary time, and these street speakers were no ordinary men. The streets of Harlem were open forums presided over by master speakers like Arthur Reed and his protege Ira Kemp. And young Carlos Cook, founder of the Garvey-oriented African pioneer movement, was on the scene, also bringing a nightly message to the street followers, or rather his message. Also bringing a nightly message to his street followers. Occasionally, Suji Abdul Hamid, the champion of Harlem labor, held a night rally and demanded more jobs for blacks in their own community. This is part of the drama on the Harlem streets. As a student, Kwame Nkrumah walked and watched. Pardon me, guys. In 1945, Nkrumah played a central role in organizing the Fifth Pan-African Congress. In 1947, Nkrumah's activism attracted the attention of Ghanaian politician J.D. Danquah, who hired Nkrumah to serve as General Secretary of the United Gold Coast Convention, an organization pursuing independence for the British colony. However, ideological differences between the two men led Nkrumah to found his own party, the Convention of People's Party, or the Convention People's Party, CPP, in 1949. Nkrumah and the CPP sought self-government through the non-violent strategy of positive action. Much like King's non-violent strategies, positive action employed the tactics of protest and strike against colonial administration. In 1951, Nkrumah and the CPP received a decisive majority of votes in Ghana's first general election, and on March 22, 1952, Nkrumah became the first prime minister of the Gold Coast. It would be 5 more years before full independence was realized, and the Gold Coast became the self-governed nation of Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah and the members of his party, the Convention People's Party, worked towards starting a peaceful uprising towards British rule by initiating civil disobedience movement, strikes, protests, etc. Although he was put behind the bars, but his demands were ultimately met, and he was put behind the bars, I guess put behind bars, let's just say. His demands were ultimately met, and he was asked to form the government. Behind the bars, I'm not sure what that phrase actually means, but anyway, under his supervision, he made sure that the Constitution of Ghana kept reforming and changing. His efforts led him to become the Prime Minister of Ghana, and later on, the President. As the sole leader of the country, he made sure that along with political reforms, Ghana also went through some major economical and social changes. His leadership changed the future of Ghana, but it also went through some tough times under him as he gradually changed into an authoritarian and started imposing his whims and fancies on the people of Ghana. He was overthrown in a military coup, which had led him to live in exile in Guinea until his death. Despite the tragic end to his influence in Ghana, his contribution in making the foundation of the country is incomparable, and he was honored with the Lenin Peace Prize for that. Now, it's questionable how much of a, I guess, despot he actually became. I don't see that. And as we'll read in a little bit, you know, there were some hands at work in actually getting him overthrown from his seat as president and exiled. So let's continue. Martin and Coretta King attended Ghana's independence ceremony on March 6, 1957, at the invitation of Nkrumah. Pardon me, guys, hold tight. King was impressed by Nkrumah's leadership and keenly aware of the parallels between Ghanaian independence and the American Civil Rights Movement. While in Ghana, the king shared a private meal with Nkrumah, discussing nonviolence and Nkrumah's impressions of the United States. After returning to the United States, King explained the lessons of Nkrumah and the Ghanaian struggle in a series of speeches and sermons. In an April 24th speech, King related a message from Nkrumah and his finance minister. Quote, "Our sympathies are with America and its allies, but we will make it clear through the United Nations and other diplomatic channels that beautiful words and extensive handouts cannot be substitutes with the simple responsibility of treating our colored brothers in America as first-class human beings." End quote. I'm sorry, well, not end quote, I apologize. So, if we are to be a first-class nation, we cannot have second-class citizens. End quote. King, April 24, 1957. Very eloquently said. King lauded Nkrumah's leadership through nonviolent positive action. Both men were inspired by the life and teachings of Gandhi, who himself was an actual racist, but that's a story for another day. In a sermon titled "The Birth of a New Nation," King said of Ghana's newfound independence, quote, it reminds us of the fact that a nation or a people can break loose from oppression without violence, end quote. In February 1966, while Nkrumah was on a state visit to North Vietnam and China, his government was overthrown in a military coup led by Emmanuel Kwame Nkrumah and the National Liberation Council. President Nkrumah himself alluded to possible American complicity in the coup in his 1969 memoir, Dark Days in Ghana, though he may have based this conclusion on falsified documents shown to him by the KGB. Now, I might remind you guys, I'm getting this information from different sites, so some of this information may even sound like it's contradicting itself. You know, some sites may be more, aligned with not painting America as a country that would do those kinds of underhanded things. But isn't it kind of funny when African countries gain their independence, the leaders are usually overthrown under a mountain of accusations. They're usually ousted, executed, like Patrice Lumumba, or exiled, like Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, it's just kind of coincidental. And then the CIA always seems to get implicated in these incidents. Why do you guys think that is? Why is it so hard for Europeans to get out of Africa and allow Africans to be free and to control their own economic futures? But anyway, I'll continue because there's not more to go. There's not much more to go. In 1978, John Stockwell, former chief of the CIA's Angola Task Force, wrote that agents at the CIA's Accra station, quote, maintained intimate contact with the plotters as a coup was hatched, end quote. Afterward, quote, inside CIA headquarters at the Accra station was given full, if unofficial, credit for the eventual coup. None of this was adequately reflected in the agency's written records, end quote. Of course, just like they hold dealings with the Nicaraguan Contras and selling coke and buying guns from them wasn't part of their official documents as well, but we know it happened. Later the same year, Seymour Hersh of the New York Times, citing, quote, first-hand intelligence sources, end quote, defended Stockwell's account, claiming that, quote, many CIA operatives in Africa considered the agency's role in the overthrow of Mr. Nkrumah to have been pivotal, end quote. These claims have never been verified, of course. So, just to sum up Mr. Nkrumah's life, Nkrumah never returned to Ghana, but he continued to push for his vision of African unity. He lived in exile in Conakry, Guinea, as the guest of President Ahmad Sekou Toure, who made him honorary co-president of the country. And I apologize for mangling these people's names. I really, really am. So just bear with me when I read these names. He read, wrote, corresponded, gardened, and entertained guests. Despite retirement from public office, he felt that he was still threatened by Western intelligence agencies. When his cook died mysteriously, he feared that someone would poison him and began hoarding food in his room. He suspected that foreign agents were going through his mail and lived in constant fear of abduction and assassination. In failing health, he flew to Bucharest, Romania, for medical treatment in August 1971. He died of prostate cancer in April 1972 at the age of 62. So that's the end for my brief reading in the life of Kwame Nkrumah. And again, I just want to state that I don't believe the man was crazy. It's just funny how the CIA in America gets implicated in these situations. Again, Africa needs its independence because as African Americans, we need to have backing from the place of our origin, like every other quote unquote minority in America does. Pardon me. Asians have backing from whatever Asian country they come from. Their countries back them financially, whatever. And the same with other immigrants, Italy, France, wherever you come from, you have the backing of your country and its political bureaucrats and so on and so forth, and ambassadors and such. We need that same backing, because if we had countries in Africa, the entire continent of Africa, backing us here, things would be so much different in this country for us. But we need to help with the liberation of Africa as well, which is why Pan-African movements are so important. You don't necessarily have to move to Africa to be a Pan-Africanist. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. I'll leave links in the description box so you guys can do more research on Kwame Nkrumah, another ancestor of ours who, through hard work, dedication, and education, and persistence, strong will, tenacity, and all the other positive affirmations I can give him, went on to lead his country and have his country become independent from British colonialism and colonial rule. So there's a lot to be said for the pursuit of education with a strong mind and strong will. So always remember this brother, because he went on to one day lead a nation and free that nation from British rule. Something to be admired. This is Knowledge of Self-Determination. Like, learn, and subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.